You're going to have to do some soul searching, figure out what your purpose is. Mark Twain said the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why.
You know, the truth will set you free, but before it'll piss you off.
You can control whether you show up. You can control your energy. You can control your attitude. You control how you treat people and treat yourself. At the end of the day, you cannot control somebody if they click yes and pay you X number of dollars.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast,
where we talk about entrepreneurship, mindset, and of course, how to turn your content into profit.
Go to contentisprofit.com to get started today and join the community. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. You forgot the ka-ching. Where is it at? There we go, guys. Today, we have an epic guest. And we're going to be talking all about growing more confident by turning positivity into possibility.
I love this. I love this. I love this.
I know. Disclaimer, we did take that headline from our awesome guest here today, which you'll be learning more about in just a second.
By the way, he's bringing an incredible surprise too, so stay to the end because we cannot wait to announce what that is. But Fonzie, before that, do we have a sponsor today?
Indeed we do. Thank you so much,
You're
sir. If you are listening to today's podcast, that means it's a sponsor.
Yes.
Wow, I don't know what I said right now. I just got all confused.
What's happening?
I don't know.
What's happening to... See, that's all the sugar, bro. Stop
That is
eating
the
sugar.
Yeah, I'm like focused on like, this can is pretty good. But guys, today's episode is sponsored by your own, the BIZBROS. Yes, we sponsor our own episode with Content Momentum.
That's right.
And you might be asking yourself, what is Content Momentum? Well, if you need to systematically create new opportunities with a new platform and multi-purposing of that content, we are here to help you out. Slide in the DMs at BIZBROSCO on Facebook, on Instagram.
That's right, guys. Don't be shy and go ahead and follow the show because every Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, these audios are dropping with incredible value for you to move your life and business forward with a lot of this.
That is right.
With a lot of that.
And if today's guests help you move one step forward towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode with 3 friends. That is your ticket of admission. And leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
That's right, baby. We're back with another awesome guest. This time, another friend from George Bryant's event. He's been the master connector. Yeah. He's one of the many people that lit up that room with incredible energy.
That's right. And he's here today to help you grow into a more confident entrepreneur. And not by accident, because that's actually what he has done for a whole lot of people.
That's correct, my friend. He actually empowers growth and confidence, self-care, and self-esteem by turning positivity into possibility. Woo. Which, by coincidence, I'm guessing, is the name of his podcast. Turn positivity into possibility,
Oh,
baby.
yeah. Let's do this. I can already feel the energy coming through the screen. Please welcome host of the Turn Positivity into Possibility podcast, Mr. Positivity himself, and my birthday twin, Dane Boyle!
What's up? Man, I'm sitting here all by myself and I'm just cracking up. You guys are awesome, and you're gonna have to teach me some of the StreamYard tools because that's legit. You blow mine away. So we're better together, right?
That's right.
That's right. Dane, thank you so much for being here. First of all, props to my brother because he just released that surprise with the logo and the graphics. I was like, what's happening? What's going on right now? That's pretty epic. But I'm even more excited to have you here as a guest today, Dane. I remember at the event, man, your energy, your presence, it was just calling to us. We connected. It has been absolutely amazing. And not me personally, both of us, we want to share all that with the people that is listening here today or watching. So for those that don't know who you are, right? Can you give us a quick background of who's trainer Dane Boyle?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm blessed that I have tons of energy. I wake up every day with energy, with positivity to turn positivity into possibility. I have a Border Collie Australian Shepherd, and I am that dog in human form. And we are. And long story short, I've been in health and wellness and fitness my entire life. I've been a life coach now for about 10 years. And I know it really all starts with mindset. And when you believe there's possibility out there, then you're always looking to the future. I was talking to a gentleman today, and I said, how old's your son? He said, 6 years old. When you ask Isaiah how old your son is, how old he is, he's going to say, I'm 6.5. Well, little kids always look to the future, my friends. And even though older than both of you, even though we're birthday twins to Fonz. I'm going to tell you, I am 54 and a half years old, baby, because I'm looking to the next half of my life to be better, more positive, and more epic than ever.
Wow. Guys, if you cannot feel the energy and, of course, the positivity dripping out of the screen or out of your speakers in your car or wherever you find yourself listening to this podcast, you need to stop, take a deep breath, and tune into this energy because it's absolutely amazing.
Then on the drive here to the studio, I was like, should I get? I love energy drinks. That's no secret. I'm like, should I drink one right now? And she's like, no. We're gonna have Dan on the show. That we don't need any of that. Fonzie's like, give me a Celsius. I'm like, no, bro, we have Dan today on the show. It's gonna wake us up.
If I did those energy drinks, I'd be in. Who knows what would happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
My head might just blow up. I know. I tell people all the time, if I did drugs, I'd be dangerous. Let me tell you. The good Lord gave me all the energy, and now I have a way to channel it. And as a kid, I just played tons of sports and ran around all the time, and that's how I got all my energy out. Now I get to empower other people by pouring into them.
So before you go there, Fonz. Sorry.
You don't know where I'm going to go.
I just blocked you.
Yeah, you literally
physically blocked him. All right. I have a question because I remember, growing up, I had this one friend and she would be like, dude, you are like the Energizer Bunny, right? Like you never stop. And then, life continues. And I definitely personally feel sometimes in my day or sometimes in my month, right? It's like, oh man, I need some energy, right? And we've been in different things where we create our own energy, right? So your thing is energy. Now, I'm very curious. Have you ever felt that way, right? Because I feel like in our life, when we create a new project, so when we have a lot of creative energy, right? And yesterday on my Facebook Live, I was talking about low energy versus high energy creation side of things. Right? A lot of people fall off the consistency wagon because they try to tackle in low energy moments, right? So I'm curious, have you been always like this? And have you had low energy moments? And if you do, how do you handle that? How do you identify it and then change your state to continue to move forward?
So for the most part, I'm pretty high energy. I do get those kind of woe is me moments. What about me? But I have a mindset. I have intention. I have a purpose. And I absolutely 100% know why I was put on this earth. So when I have those low moments, I give myself, I don't like it, by the way, at all. And I am able to identify it. And I give myself just that moment to be in the moment and say, okay, why are we here? What are we doing? Right? Because I am high energy. And I'll tell you right now, I'm in the middle of a launch and it's a ton of energy and it's a lot of emotional energy. And I still do physical training. And by 9 o'clock at night, I'm just done. Done. And I've been sleeping like a rock. But the idea is I wake up every day with intention. Yeah. Every day with intention on what I'm going to do, how many people I'm going to connect with, and how I'm going to impact the world. And that gets me moving. And I jump out of bed like I'm a kid at Christmas morning. I lost my dad about 6 years ago. And every day I start my day with prayer with my dad. And I tell him I'm going to make him proud every day. And when you have that and you know that my purpose is literally to educate, motivate, empower, inspire for people to live with purpose, passion, grow stronger, and age with awesomeness. When you have that, that's how I'm going to leave my legacy in the world. So to be honest with you, very seldom anymore do I get a lull. But when I do, I just basically take a deep breath. George is always about the breathing. Literally take those big breaths in, identify it, and say, move the needle, my friend. Because if you don't do it, nobody's going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. With your question, you kind of render useless a question that I had, but it's okay. I'm still going to go back there and bring it back up.
This is definitely not a script, guys. It's not a script.
It's a fact. It's a fact that I heard lately. Actually, not a fact. It's like a thought from another podcaster that I heard lately that is very interesting to me, right? This guy has a podcast called How to Take Over the World, and he produces pieces about the most influential people in history, right? Like Napoleon, Thomas Alva Edison, maybe eventually trainer Dane Boyle, right? And he says that his theory is that these people were so successful not because they were extremely smart or because they knew stuff that other people didn't. He says that behind them, what it was is that they had so much energy that everybody that talks about them, it's about those guys never got tired. They had endless energy. So you're telling me this, right? And you're like, yeah, since I've been a kid, I have lots of energy, right? And I know people like my brother, right? And I feel like I was a kid like that. Like as a kid, I was lots of energy. I feel like most people are. And as you start growing up, that energy starts depleting. And there can be multiple reasons why, right? It could be maybe you're doing stuff that you don't enjoy, right? Maybe you're in a position of life with hardship. Who knows, right? Multiple things can affect that energy. But that being said, right, if now we know, or at least we have the hypothesis, right, that successful people are consistently fueled by lots of energy. And that is our goal. Our goal is to have lots of energy so we can not just do a lot of work, but do a lot of purposeful work, right? We can impact a lot of people. How do we get there, right? And this is the first thing that comes to mind. Start with the why. I think a lot of people have heard about that, but I'm curious on your take on it, right? And it's okay, obviously, if it's similar to that.
I think so. I will tell you, I try to help people find their purpose and their passion first, right? So you can call that your why or whatever the case may be. And then you also have to know, if you come work with me or we work with you or whatever, you bring 20, 30, 40, 50 years of life, and to expect that transformation instantaneously, I think if somebody tells you that, you need to run the other way.
Yeah.
So Darren Hardy always talks about the compound effect. It is little steps done every day. The Atomic Habits, it's 1% better, right? And you have to know you're going to get throat punched. Life is going to, God forbid, somebody gets sick or passes away, or we have a business idea and it flops. You can call yourself a failure, or you can learn from it. And I think if we learn every day from it, we'll continue to move. So again, if you know your purpose and passion, I think it was, I just drew a blank on one of the guys who was at George's event. It doesn't matter. Al Sharpton. He said that I want to try to project you to go so far out in the future and see it so clearly. You're going to bring it back and act on it today.
Yeah.
Because that's where you want to go. So ultimately, you're going to have to do some soul searching. There may be tears. There's all kind of emotion involved.
Yeah.
But if you don't like where you are, or you want to make where you are better, you're going to have to do some soul searching, figure out what your purpose is. Mark Twain said, the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. So if you want to dig in, have that energy, jump out of bed like it's Christmas morning and go to work.
Yeah.
And I was on a call earlier that I've been on a lot of one-on-ones, like I said, a lot of emotional energy, and I love it. And I don't want to change it. But I told the woman on the other end, as she's trying to decide whether to join my new founding members group, I said, I will show up every single day.
Yeah.
Every day. And give you my energy. And if you don't have enough energy, you can take some of mine, because there's plenty for everybody. And it's a matter of choice.
Yeah.
I really believe it's a matter of choice.
I love it. So, sorry, I'm curious.
He's
here.
blocking me now. He's like, poof.
It's my turn to shine over here. You mentioned that quote from Mark Twain. The two most important days of someone's life is when they're born and when they find why, right? Why? What was that day for you? Do you remember?
So I don't know if there was a specific day, but when I was active duty Air Force, I got out of the service, came home back to Texas with 3 kids, and my dad took me to work or to lunch. He's like, all right, son, what are you going to do? You have mouths to feed, et cetera, et cetera. And he offered me a job. I didn't even understand what the job was, but it was more money that I could make with 30 hours of college and no experience. Kind of like, branding and not having an LLC or something. That might be one of your stories. And over time, watching him do it, what he would tell me when I would work with people was I was doing God's work. And there was something about knowing that I could impact lives every day, however it was. I've been a high school coach. I've owned several different businesses. So I don't know if there was an epiphany, but learning that I could do God's work and make a difference and ultimately leave a legacy with other people, that was the epiphany to say that I had discovered that.
Yeah.
I love it. That's really powerful. So obviously over the last year and a half, our world has been very digital, right? We've been a lot on these screens, and we share a lot of people here, specifically us too, with everybody that has come and we've connected through the show. And just recently, like for the last few months, we've been interacting with local businesses outside of this environment, right? With different owners, different managers, different things, right? And there's a lot of people that listen to the show that they might be in a transition from, I'm working in this environment, right? And I'm going through this journey of I'm putting my voice out there, right? I want to be that attractive character. I want to serve my people, my crew, right? And then creating something, right? And they're in the path of, I don't really know, like if this is the thing that actually is going to hit, right? Or this is a step in that direction, right? But while they're doing that, right, that's consuming a lot of energy. We've been there, right? Like we're still there, like we're in that position, right? Just Tuesday, we met for like 6 hours to find like what's that next program that we're going to serve our audience with, that we can help, right? But also we have to deal with stuff that's happening, right? So over that first year, we experienced a massive shift in personal growth, right? It's been incredible because the environment that we were in, the container that we created, served us in that way with like no outside distractions as far as like relationships with other people, except the people that we were connecting through the show on that. And I feel like that was like very powerful. Now that we're going back to these things, we're like, okay, now I've noticed a personal shift. How do I actually deal, right, with maybe low energy and different things consistently, right? Like how do we now relearn, right, how to interact with these people? And I feel like now coming back into the real world, a lot of people are dealing with these things because maybe they invested in their education, maybe they invested in their conversations, right? And they're dealing with this. And how can they now make a decision and be like, okay, I was here, maybe I am dealing with a lot of issues on my workspace, maybe with like family members I haven't seen before, right? There's some friction. How do I actually have these conversations now? And I've changed, right? How do we deal with that environment that's happening right now?
It's so funny. So I hear that all the time, right? So there was a time in my fitness business, it was all face-to-face, right? Yeah. And then we were like, oh my gosh, we don't have a gym anymore. And so we went virtual, and then everybody needed us. Like we needed a community. We needed somewhere to go. We had all this pent up energy, and you could drink all day, right? Or sleep all day, or you could move.
Yeah.
And what we did is we learned how to kind of be by ourselves, maybe begrudgingly. We didn't do it on purpose. It was kind of thrust upon us. And maybe you end up, hopefully you grew in that. You learned. And I think now it's about, you're going to have healthy, uncomfortable conversations sometimes to say, look, in March of 2020, I was here, baby. But now going into 2022, I'm up here.
Yeah.
And do you want to come with me? Or I'm just going to bless and release. Does that make sense? So the idea is like, look, I've grown. And I want to take you with me if you want to go. But maybe you're just not ready to go. I still love you. I want nothing but the best for you. And when you're ready, I'll be there for you. But I'm going to go. I had a woman today that said, well, I have a business idea, but I don't want to share it with you. I'm like, why not? It's just you and I on a Zoom. I'm not even recording today's Zoom call. And she's like, she's just afraid. And I said, I get it. So I said, and what about your husband? She goes, well, he doesn't see it. They're not always going to see your dream. You guys know that as entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
Your friends and family don't see your dream.
Yeah. They don't, or not to the extent that we could potentially see it, right? They don't go so far in the future that they're like, well, that doesn't really make sense. And in your head, it does make sense, right? It's like, this is it.
So I think the idea is that you have to have a conversation. You have to share your hopes, your beliefs, your wants, and your dreams. And then if you decide that relationship is important, you're going to invite them to join you. And many are going to say, most will probably say no, would be my guess. But those that do, you walk hand in hand and you go see the future together. And those that don't, you're like, I'll circle back around. We'll have a conversation. We'll have a cup of coffee. But it's time for me to launch my future. And there are so many opportunities. I mean, come on. How many people are picking up their smartphone, going on TikTok, and creating big business and big impact? Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. So I think the simple answer to your question is you're going to have some uncomfortable conversations, and you're going to have to own it. And it's more uncomfortable until the moment you do it, right? All that mind meld of junk crap that's in your head and the fear of your mom, your dad, your brother, your cousin, your wife, your spouse, your BFF, not understanding. You're like, I just need to have a talk with you. It's nothing bad. I just want to talk about where I am and where I want to go. And so many times they're going to try to give you guidance, but they just don't know.
Yeah.
And they fear the unknown. As an entrepreneur, I don't really fear the unknown. I see it before it happens.
Yeah. I want
Interesting.
I want to relate this to obviously content, right? Like and the things that we do.
Before you relate it to content, I want to relate it to Ted Lasso. Have you
Hey!
seen Ted Lasso?
I've been told I should see it, but I have not seen it.
Yes,
Well,
please.
I just heard the live that you did the other day, and I heard that you don't watch too much TV, right? Which is obviously is great. You say you're watching some documentaries and whatnot, but if you decide to watch a show, Ted Lasso is up there. It's gonna make you feel so good. It's such a wholesome show, and it's about soccer, right? So
Yeah, that's it.
But there is a part of the show where he's seeing this kind of like sports psychologist, and whatever. I'm not gonna ruin the story for you, but he's having his own issues, like everybody, right? Everybody has their own issues, and she tells him, "Hey, the truth will set you free, but before it'll piss you off." Right?
Amen, right?
Yeah. And like what you're telling me right now, it sounds pretty similar to that, right? Like, hey, is the truth about you moving on a toxic or maybe an environment that is holding you back? It might not be toxic, but it's just not letting you grow to the extent that you're seeking. And guess what? You got to come to the truth with that is like, hey, I'm moving on. And it's going to piss you off. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be very challenging, right? Like leave the people that you spend so much time with or the environments that you spend so much, invested so much in, and then move into something else. It will piss you off, but then you're going to be like, wow, I'm here and I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
So we go back 6-7 years ago. I opened a brand new hospital wellness center as their director, right? And the money was really good. The potential, the bonus structure, all that. But I hated the job. I was crunching numbers all the time, and I get it, you got to pay the bills and the lights and the employees and all that, but I was crunching. I don't want to I pay good money to my CPA, right? For a reason.
Yeah.
And my wife knew it, and I actually went to Miami with my wife, and she was at a conference, by the way, in South Beach. I had a little Nissan Sentra. I was in the wrong freaking market for sure. Anyway, so I went to a coffee shop, and I'm just sitting there staring out at the street, and I'm like, I need guidance. I need to do something. I'm miserable regardless of the money. And I take my little Nissan and I go pick up the wife at the conference. I jump out of the car. So that might've been a low, right? And I come out and she goes, man, I haven't seen that big smile in a long time. I go, get in the car. I'm going to tell you. And she goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to resign, because when you're the boss, you don't quit. You just resign, right?
Yeah.
And she says, what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea, but I'm not doing what I'm doing. And then, right? And so, but I had to have like a come to Jesus meeting with myself. Like, I just can't do it. I was willing to go work in 10 bar, work at the gas station, mow a lawn, sell marketing without even knowing what I'm doing. It doesn't matter. And I haven't looked back. Has the journey been easy? No way.
Yeah.
Is it way harder than I imagined? You bet.
Yes, way.
But I have no regrets.
Yeah. When was this? When did you say this was?
2014.
2014.
So my wife was, she's a frontline healthcare worker, and they sent her to a conference.
Yeah.
And she's like, I got a nice hotel. I got per diem. By the way, I spent all her per diem before she was done every day. But, and so I literally had like 3 days, like during the day, just sitting by myself with my laptop and my headphones, kind of writing a dream. And I started doing at-home personal training and then life coaching. And I got super busy. And then I had my own studio. And that was an epic failure, because the thousands of dollars I had to have for brick and mortar was just suffocating before I took a penny out. And I pretty much went mobile from then on in. In 2009, I was in grad school getting my exercise science degree, and I wrote a paper about how to use the web to influence activity. That was over a decade ago, and now we're here.
You're a pioneer. You're a pioneer, Dane. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. They're going to showcase you on the How to Take Over the World podcast.
Here we go. I'm ready.
That shows like those moments, right? Like with yourself of silence, right? With George, we talked a lot about creating that space, right? And that's something that I personally feel guilty of not doing enough, right? We both. Yeah. And it's so important, right? Because you start thinking about these things. And I remember, I think it was like Mark, the guy that does like the Ugly Jobs, Discovery Channel, Mark Rowe.
Yeah.
And he was like, if you don't know what you want to do in your life, just start trying a bunch of stuff, right? Like this is my permission card for you to like go try. If you don't like it, move on. Like it's not gonna be the end of the world, right? And a lot of people feel like resigning, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm done, right? I'm like, no, like what's the trade-off, right? Like a year ago for us, we're like, okay, sounds good. We're gonna do this podcasting thing, and we want to figure it out, right? And we're still trying to figure it out, right? Things are going well. Things have gone like completely south many times, right? And then he have gone well again, and it's like, okay, what's happening? But at the same time, it's like, okay, never ever ever regret it to make that decision. But going a little bit back to the conversation that we had about those awkward conversations that we could potentially have, right? I relate a lot because I had to have that conversation with my wife, right? It was like, man, like, especially like in many moments, right? And she's a person that she loves like stability. She loves, knowing exactly what's happening, in the next 10 years. And I'm the complete opposite, right? I'm like, that stresses the heck out of me, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm an adventure dude and we're going to figure it out, right? And sometimes when you're in the moment, it can be really frustrating because you're like, okay, man, I don't really know, but I chose this, right? It's like, oh man, the contradiction, right? And that conversation, what happened, I was terrified to have it for the first time. But the second I started having that conversation, I'd be like, look, I'm going to be 100% honest completely. Like, this is what's going to happen for the next year. Like, I'm resigning. I have this personal loan thing that, we have to, we'll figure it out. And she, she understood. The people that really love you, right? This is kind of a filter, right? The people that really love you are going to, maybe sometimes they're a little bit reluctant, but at the same time, they're going to understand, right? And they're going to be like, okay, sounds good. Maybe this is the right person I'm with. And, same with
you said filter. Were you qualifying your wife?
Yes.
At that moment.
Well, I mean, she was already qualified, but I don't think I would have been able to do much. But but at the same time, it's like, okay, we both grow, right? Because at the same time, like that relationship is now taken to a new level of communication. Now, how do we relate that to, for example, content teams, like fractional content teams? Same thing, right? Like we have a vision of what we have to produce. We have a vision of our voice, how we personally grow, right? How do we communicate that to our teams, to the companies that we work with, right? Some of them are not going to be just there to take you to that new level, that maybe you grab that vision from the future and you bring it back and be like, this is where I want to go. This is how we start the path. And we talked about, bringing the people into your bus, right? And maybe your bus is going to like change direction here and there, right? But the people have to be okay with that. I mean, like, okay, how can now we make good decisions based off of that? And if they want to jump off the bus, or like just stop the bus first and then they can step out of the bus, but don't jump off buses. Then new people can come in and be like, sounds good, do I share this vision, do I share this thing, like, and that goes with content, with the business, with your life, right? And those important conversations, I feel like sometimes we just ignore them and don't have them at all, and that's what that's what ends hurting us personally and hurting the business. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
No problem. I think it's true. I mean, we'll go back to just being able to veer the bus. How many times in soccer did you have an idea, your coach had an idea how it was going to go, and you were down 2-0 in the first half? So then all of a sudden, whether you change personnel, somebody has substitution, and maybe you come back and won in a shootout. It just doesn't go the way we want to go. Yeah, and when you start your business, there are going to be people on your bus that when you finish whatever your business, it won't definitely be the same people that started on the bus or in the soccer game or whatever analogy you want.
Absolutely.
To use.
Well, that reminds me of the book Good to Great. I forgot the name of the author, but he actually talks about that, about the bus, right? That is more important to have people in the bus that no matter which way you're driving the bus to, they're going to stay with you and they're seeking to grow, they're seeking to learn, they're seeking to adapt, right? They're in there for the mission, not just on the bus for the ride, right? And I think that is extremely important. And it goes back to, removing yourself from those environments that are not going to help you out, right? And, relating this to content as well, I think speaking your truth and just being raw and honest on camera, on your message, sharing what you stand for, that's going to help get the right people on the bus to build your community, to build your environment, to build the business that you want to build. And that being said, I want to kind of like transition a little bit there, since, you did a postgraduate student, in 2009 about the influence of the web in your business and all that stuff, right? I think that's absolutely amazing. And I'm curious, right? How has that evolved? What evolution have you seen in terms of content for, somebody that wants to have an online business?
it's grown exponentially, right? And I think it was coming anyway. It just got pushed to the forefront because we couldn't be in person anymore. We couldn't do in-person events for however long it was. Yeah. But it's one of those things that we now have the ability. I think the way I try to do it, I want to do a hybrid type business, right? So I'll tell you straight up, by 2024, in my 3-year vision, I have 80% of my business is online. Mm-hmm. But I still get a ton of energy. When you and I are in the room together in Montana, we're high-fiving, we're hugging, we're telling silly jokes, we're doing silly things. I get great energy for that. Yeah. But you now have the ability, if you're not comfortable, like we're extroverts, we're out in front, we're going to be at the front of the classroom, we're the class clown, we're doing all those things. You're not comfortable with it, make a damn Facebook group, put you and your girlfriend in it, and go practice. I mean, you only need 2 people. Critique yourself, make yourself better. Do you go, I tend to roll my eyes on a pause, and I'm trying not to do that. Like I watch myself and I like look up for like to the heavens to get a thought, but why do I do it? But there's literally, it's unlimited potential now.
Yeah.
You have a global audience. Do you need to niche down? Absolutely. Right. But Spotify or whatever told me on my podcast that I had somebody in some Eastern European country. I don't know how that she or he listened to it, but how cool is that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, 98% are from America. But the idea is you have the ability now to influence. You want to reach 20-year-old men and go climb mountains. I don't know, the 14 highest mountain peaks in the world. Go do it.
Yeah.
Let's create a group.
Yeah.
Go to Patagonia and see if they'll sponsor you. Good luck. Go to or REI or whatever. Okay, start with a local company. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But who's to tell you can't? Every kid that gone on to whatever fame and success had a dream.
Yep.
And they put in the work. And that's, I think, the hardest part is we tend to want instantaneous success. You see that Mark Zuckerberg's one of the top 5 richest men in the world. But what about all the time behind the scenes, even though he was young, that none of us knew who the hell he was? Mark Cuban sold broadcast.com to Yahoo, and he was just some kid that wanted to turn a transistor radio into the computer into a transistor radio to listen to University of Indiana basketball. That was, if you listen to his story, and all of a sudden the guys that were in the mission with him became millionaires the day he did it. And I'm not saying each of us are going to be a millionaire. Yeah. But you have the potential. I was watching some on HBO the other day, watching all these college athletes using TikTok and sponsorships. And it's like, man, I need to get better at some of the technology. And it's just get your word out there. Be true to who you are. Yeah. I guarantee, guys, the message I bring here is the same message if we were face-to-face. And just be 100% unapologetically you. And when it comes to content, you have to be real and raw until sometimes you fail. Yeah. Sometimes you step in dog poo. You know what you do? You wipe it off and you keep on walking.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed in this last 2 years of publishing? That the energy, the confidence that you show up with in front of the camera influences probably as much as the message, right? Like we always say messaging over production value, right? I think messaging is key. If you have the right message, people will hear. But if you show up confident as well, like that just attracts people. Like that's a magnet for people to stay with you, to listen, right? Like you're literally feeding them energy. Now, how do we go about building that confidence? Because a lot of people are going to be, and that's one of the reasons why we do the 45 Live, right? Is for people to do the reps. Hey, if you don't do the reps, you're not going to get better. You're not going to go to the gym and lift 400 pounds at once, right? Your arms are going to fall off. So the idea is to go in and do the reps, and eventually you're going to conquer that. But I'm curious, from your standpoint, since you help so much people, with their confidence, with their self-esteem, how can somebody build that so then when they present themselves, when they are trying to share their message, they can do it in a proper way that is attracting the people that they want to serve?
Sure. One of the first things I ask people to do is literally get a piece of paper or go open your phone up and use your notes or Evernote and write 10 things that you love about yourself. Mm-hmm. Now, many people can just go on and on and on and on, right? About that, I got the best beard. I got the, whatever it would be. I don't have a beard, but anyway. At the same time, when I have people that literally, they really can't say 3 things they like, whether it's the color of their eyes, their jawbone looks like their granddaddy, they got broad shoulders, all these kind of things. I'm confident, but they're not confident at this point, so they probably wouldn't say that. And then if you don't have 10 things, ask somebody that you consider a friend.
Yeah.
Your friends will see the good things and really maybe the bad, but 10 things. And then start to tell yourself every day, put that on a Post-it, put it by your fridge, put it by your steering wheel, put it where you brush your teeth. So you see it every day and remind yourself. And this is from Jen Sincero's book. I can quote personal development all day. Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass. There's only one of you, there'll only ever be one of you, and it makes you pretty damn special. So you need to remind yourself when you have that confidence that you are. It's the same way. If you have children, you would tell your kids or your nieces, your nephews are special and they're beautiful and perfectly made. But why, as adults, do we only remember that some kid made fun of you when you were kind of awkward in middle school?
Yeah.
So literally start out with writing 10 things that you love about yourself and then work on it every day. Say it out loud. Go on Facebook Live. If you say it, don't say it, write it, post it, tell your wife, hey, you know what? I'm handsome in AF. Boom, click, and you'll start to believe it. You'll start to believe it. Is, you know what? Confidence is sexy.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, that's why, I ended up with my wife, even though I had a belly, I was like, yeah.
Truth bomb right there.
Hold on, there we go. Boom. No, I mean, that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
And, going back a little bit and reflecting on what Fonzie said about doing the reps, right? Like, when a lot of people come into this challenge that we have, that, by the way, is completely free to everybody. You can just do it on your own too if you want, right?
Yeah. Just go to go45.live and join.
And there's like two contrasting stories. I got it.
Yeah, that's a tough word, right? Big word.
I got it. Okay, I got it. Yeah, thank you, audience. We have this guy, right? Which, by the way, no secret, this guy is our older brother, right? And he came to us and like, dude, I want to work with you guys. And I'm like, do you know English? And he's like, no, I do not know English. Well, I'm so sorry, bro. You cannot work with us. But he's like, okay, sounds good. But he really wanted it. I'm like, hey, can we sell this thing in Spanish, right? And we're like, well, sweet. But then he started selling it, but he hasn't gone through the pain that we went through when we started publishing, right? And we're like, what about you do your own thing, like your own 45 Live? This is your tryouts, right? Just do your 45 Live and then come to us and we'll see what happens. Well, here's the thing. He finished his whole 45 Live, right? And at first he was like struggling. He didn't know what to say. Maybe he saw the little zero in the corner. We're like, zero people watching. But guess what? He stuck with it, right? In Spanish. And then after that, he's like, man, I really feel this fire, right? I feel like you two would like be incredible together. But like, all the energy, like everything, the world will explode, that. Anyways. I feel this energy, like, and I found something I'm really passionate about that I really want to share, right? And for him was like his religion, his faith, his like, all his like core pillars, right? And he starts sharing that. It's like, hey, I want to launch a show. And I'm like, sounds good. Launch your show. Guess what? This show is a Facebook Live. That's it, right? He goes on and he talks to people, right? And there's no audio, nothing published. It's just the Facebook thing. Well, guess what? His life has changed completely. It's like 180 from where he started, right? He's now like they just called us now. He partnered with one of his guests on the show, and they're just now buying a physical location to do like dances and small businesses in Colombia. And it's like he sold consulting for like big companies to train 200 people. And like, what? And this came from that catalyst of doing the reps, right? And the flip story to this, and it's not to demotivate anybody, but we had on our first like 100 people that went through the challenge, a few fell off, right? And we're like, okay, what's happened? What's changed since then? And it's like we're still like trying to grab that traction with that trust, and maybe we're not out there anymore. So try yourself, whatever that is, right? If it's video, great. If it's writing it, great. If it's just repeating it to yourself, like Dane, we're saying, like, great, but do it, right? Let's put in the reps and identify where is that moment, right? Where is that is causing friction me in my personal life to go out there and share this message, right? I don't think we would have been here today where we are today, or share with you the trip to Montana, or be in front of like emceeing. That was terrifying, man. Like that was terrifying. But guess what?
Got the sweaty pits.
Definitely got the sweaty pits. But anyway, so I think that's super important, right? Because like what you say is at a micro level to start, right? And then we need like that primer to continue to go on and grab traction and use that momentum, right? To continue and never stop. So I really appreciate it. And thank you, by the way. Shout out to you because you're freaking crushing it in 45 Live.
Yeah. It's one of those things, like you said, you got to just start. Your momentum is real, right? And pushing a rock when it's a dead standstill is super hard. But once it gets rolling, you can keep pushing it. and you'll find that momentum. Even there were times when I put on events and 3 people showed up. My wife, myself, and my buddy who I made come along. And we still did it. But we learned from it. Why? How did we not get the message out? What could we do to do it better? You know, now I'm blessed that I'm in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people, depending on what's going on, right?
Yeah.
But I love that. He had an idea. You guys motivated him, inspired him, and said, go do it. And now look at him. So that's it. I'm telling you, got to start.
I feel like a lot of it is an endurance game, right? Honestly, about anything in the world, I feel it's like an endurance game. But we are, and you touched, a little bit on this. Like, people just want the quick win.
Right.
I think it's part of the culture now that everybody's like, how do I make it happen fast, right? Like, why are we always in a rush? And how can we slow down and embrace the fact that it's like, hey, it's going to take a while. You might, right, throughout your journey, find success faster than you expect, but expect to be longer, right? How do we get in that mindset of endurance?
It's so funny you say that. So oftentimes, because of my background, people want to know about, how do I have fast weight loss? I'm like, whoa. We're not going to do it that way. Not working with me, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to be able to understand the long-term mindset. Now, if we're going to have a journey of a year or 3 years, so I help people create their 3-year vivid vision in the 5 Fs, which is family, friends, fitness, finance, and faith. But what we have to do is have incremental markers along the way, I think, that we can declare as wins. Does that make sense? If you look out to 2025, you're like, oh, that's a long time away, which it is at the moment. And then you're going to turn around and go, man, I was just on the BIZBROS show in 2021, almost 2022, and it seems like yesterday. So then I challenge you to have incremental markers. What do you mark as success? Can you do it in 30 days? I also teach a thing called 10-10-3. So 10-day goals, 10-month goals, and 3-year goals. 10-day goals are take immediate action. You can start today. I'm going to go live for 10 days. 10 days. Right? 10 days. So next Friday to next month. Like Friday is at 7 days. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 10 days. Did you succeed? Yes or no?
Yeah.
10-month goals are to work on. Save $1,000, get 100 followers, sell so many programs, et cetera, et cetera. That's to work on.
Yep.
3-year goals are to dream on. Now go back to the 10-day goals. If you put 12 sets of 10-day goals, that's a quarter of the year. But if you break them down to 10 days, right, I'm going to meditate every day. I'm going to do breathing every day. I'm going to put out content every day for 10 days.
All right. So we had a few technical difficulties, but before we get back to the show, we have a special message for you. You've probably heard your network is your net worth. So the question becomes, how do we increase the value of your network? I want you to think about it. What would the right relationship be worth to you? Well, what if you could systematically start these conversations, build these relationships, and leverage them to add new revenue streams to your business? That is exactly what we have done with our platform, our podcast, Content is Profit. And now we want to show you exactly how to start your own 6-figure platform that builds your network and your net worth while building your authority, relevancy, and trust in the marketplace. So if you're ready to launch your own 6-figure platform, make sure to slide in the DMs at BIZBROS and let us know we're here for you. Now, back to the show.
I was sharing the 10-10-3 goal setting, right? 10 days are to take immediate action, 10 months are to work on, and 3 years are to dream on. But if you put 12 sets of 10-day goals together, that's 1 quarter in the year. And so Monday is just an arbitrary day. In my opinion, the first of the year is an arbitrary time. Today's your tomorrow. Start today. Today's your Monday. Map out 10 days and decide what you want to do. So it's easy to use a fitness analogy. So if you want to go a mile a day every day, start today. And you can quantify that right away. Did you do it? 45-day live, right? Did I do it or didn't I do it? But if you wanted to break it down into 4.5 sets of 10 days, I think it doesn't seem like as big a bite. It's like telling kids to chew their food. Small little compound effect, all those type of things. So that ultimately is, I think, how we can win the game, the long-term game, and be consistent. I've been in the game a long time, my friends, long before I ever knew that I could do Facebook Live or carry a phone that does finances. I can do investments. I can buy property. I can get loans. What can't you do with your cell phone, which is really a computer that makes calls, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. I love that. It's pretty simple. Just break it down into steps and kind of like bring it to a place where you feel comfortable with taking action, right? And then do it and then look up to the next one. I think not just entrepreneurs, but like humans in general have a tendency of looking very far away into all the problems that you could potentially run into, even though you will probably 99% of the chances not run into those problems. But you're like, oh, but what if, when I make $1 million, that happens to me? I'm like, dude, let's start by making $1, right? Like,
we'll deal with the $1 million problem, and the $1 million is in the bank.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Let's start on step one. So I love that. I love the, just like how simple you broke it down for people so they can actually start doing it and take action. So we're getting towards the end of the hour here, and we usually ask 2 more questions. First of all, what is an action point that can you leave people with? I mean, you can already share the 10, get your 10 compliments about yourself, write them down. I think that's a great one. You also share the one of breaking down the goals into, smaller 10-day goals. But what can somebody do to grow in their confidence, their self-esteem, right? And live an awesome life?
So ultimately, I think you want to have those positive affirmations, right? Remind yourself, I said again, just repeat, say what you're good at. Remind yourself you're good at them and tell them there's nobody. A lot of what life coaches do, personal trainers do, it's all relative to the same. But are you still in the game? Do you believe you're the best out there? Can you work together? So ultimately what I want to challenge you to do is walk to the mirror. I did this on a Facebook reel recently and literally say just like this from that book I said earlier, that Jen Sincero book, there's only one of me. Only ever be one of me, and it makes me pretty damn special. And say it over until you believe it, till you can do it with a smile, till you can do it without tears running down your face. And I'm telling you, man, I do a lot of one-on-one calls, and most of my clients, what I call champion, are women. And I ask them to say it like they're saying it to their daughter. They do it no problem. Now I'm like, I want you to look at me like I'm the mirror, and I want you to say that out loud. And they either get choked up, they look down, or they cry, or all of the above.
Yeah.
So gain your confidence by believing that you're unique. I was never going to be an NBA basketball star. No offense, men, neither were you. But I have talent, and I know that I can pour my positivity and energy and belief in humanity into other people.
Absolutely. I relate a lot to that moment. Just recently I had a very tough moment in one of these locations that we help, and I had to like step out of that situation and walk into a restroom, right? And I'm like, I need to breathe, right? Like I started to identify these moments like of high pressure, and I'm like, okay, because when we're here, we're working with a local team, like we already know the dynamics, everything is set up to make sure that we continue progress or what. And then we've been in these very random situations now. This is why I asked the first question, right? Like going full circle, because it's a very selfish question, right? And it's like we're going through this situation, and I had to step into this restroom, and I'm like, I went into the mirror, right? And it was a reset. Like I used it as a reset. I'm okay. This is something that just happened. Let me identify how I'm feeling, right? I'm gonna say thank you. I'm gonna appreciate this moment that just happened because it taught me this lesson, right? And I would have reacted in a very different way before. And what I did in the mirror, I looked at my eyes and I was like, you got this. You're awesome. You're funny. Like these things, right? Just what you're saying, right? And these things came up, even though my wife still thinks that I'm not funny, whatever. I believe it, right? And it's like, okay. And then I just took a deep breath and just stayed there for like one more second. And then maybe people in there thought I was pooping, but whatever. And then
as long as you wash your hands, you're okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
You were poop posting.
Poop posting, yeah. It's like poop posting.
Yeah, we'll tell the story in a different episode. We'll leave that hook in there.
Oh, it's so bad. I said it publicly publicly in one of our things, and people were like, "What?" Anyways, yeah, we'll leave the hook. But I walked out, right? I walked out of that, and it was a flip, and a mental flip. And I think like what you're saying is so important, right? Because building that habit from the very beginning, right, is gonna help you identify those moments and be like, okay, here's what I reset. Like, it's not I'm gonna reset tomorrow morning. Like what you said is so powerful. Today is your Monday, right? We looked at the calendar, and for some reason we think that Monday is the day that we have to start everything, right? And then 9 a.m. hits and hell breaks loose, right? And you're like, crap, I forgot to do this today, right? So I thank you, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I wrote down here, build unshakable confidence. And, you know, like this brought some kind of like memories from some lessons I've heard around, which is one of the fastest way to lose confidence is breaking promises to yourself, right? Which honestly, man, like I suffer with that, right? Like I'm like, oh, I've said all these things. Like I definitely overestimate what I can do in the short term. And then I'm like breaking these promises to myself. And that really hurts the confidence to yourself, right? Because you're...
When you hit, sorry.
No, go ahead.
When you hit the snooze alarm, you're breaking a promise to yourself.
Yeah.
You said you were going to get up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 5, whatever it is. Get out of bed. That's a huge thing. People make all kind of money, right? Teaching people how to wake up. I say wake up and be amazing. So,
yeah. Absolutely. I love, you know, when we're at George event and he shared that exact point, I was like, wow, I've been snoozing for months, you know, I was like, whew. And honestly, I was doing really good. And like this past week, I started snoozing again. So I love that we're having this conversation because it's a great reminder, right? And then the other one that I feel like people don't have so much control on, but it's still extremely challenging is taking L's, right? And by taking L's, I mean like you do the work, but like things are not going your way, right? Like you maybe are not closing the sales that you want, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you're maybe not reaching the amount of people that you want, right? Like maybe things that, you know, it's kind of challenging because every single time I try to look inside and I'm like, it's my fault. What could I have done better? But at the same time, once those like L's align, just one after the other one, right? Like, it's rough. Like it does shake your confidence. So, you know, what can you do there?
So I think you got to control the controllable. You can control whether you show up. You can control your energy. You can control your attitude. You control how you treat people and treat yourself. At the end of the day, you cannot control somebody if they click yes and pay you X number of dollars. You can't. All you do is present an opportunity. If I meet you and we've met, and you want a job and I introduce you to somebody and I say, you know what, this guy's awesome. You'd be a great NC to your event. All I can do is present the opportunity. You've got to go seal the deal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you can only control the controllable. Yep. That's it. And that's how I start every day. What can I control? Did I show up? And I critique myself every day. Like, how could I reach more people? How could I made more sales? As I'm super goal oriented, have been since I was a kid.
Yeah. And
so I have a goal, a reach goal, and a dream goal for everything that I do. But at the end of the day, I can only control so much. In my kind of customer journey recently, right, I didn't put a link on Facebook because Facebook doesn't like that to leave it. So I'm like, then you can apply. So people it was age with awesomeness. Then you had to leave that. Then I followed up with a video, right? And I said, now I have the application. And then you had to finish that up. Then I followed up again. Then you had to schedule a one-on-one.
Yeah.
To make sure people are fully invested in the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And all I could do is keep following the journey if they did what I asked them to do. And then they get on the one-on-one, I present the opportunity. They tell me what their pain points are. And now the ball's in their court. Or maybe online, maybe right away they do it. It depends.
Yeah.
But control the controllable. That's all you can do. Just do everything that you can control.
I love it. Thank you so much. There's a third one when my soccer team loses a lot of times in a row.
That's a wash.
My confidence gets hurt.
Delete the whole day, man. Like you can tell, like he walks in and the whole room just flickers. You know, it's like what?
I was kidding. I learned to detach myself from that outcome. That's for sure.
Yeah. It took me a long time to do the same thing. I used to be so down when my sports teams lost, and I'm like, man, they're not raising my kids, they're not paying my mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're like, what's going on?
That's true. Dane, awesome. We extended that question a little bit, but here's the last one.
Okay.
Where would you be if you didn't publish?
I'd be working I'd be in some gym somewhere, probably doing something at the point where I love physical fitness, but that's not my full-time gig or drive anymore. I'd still be feeding my family, but I'd be doing it without the joy and happiness in my heart. It's really that simple. I get to share my hopes, dreams, and wants and be the unicorn rather than repeating everything that everybody else says. And I would be existing or living and not thriving. And I want to thrive, baby.
Heck yeah. Let's go thrive together. Let's do it.
Amen. Amen.
Audience going crazy. Audience going crazy.
That's right. Thank you so much. I love, I mean, we both love asking that question just because it just puts so much into perspective, right? I recently was talking to a friend from Venezuela. He's in Venezuela, and he's like, he loves comedic work, and he did a bunch of like YouTube videos that kind of went a little bit viral right there, and he got a good audience. But then he started working, and he posted something the other day. He was like, well, you know, I don't know exactly what to do. I've been down. I need some help. So I reached out to him. I was like, dude, like, just do it. Like, you were so good doing the YouTube videos, right, and you were having so much fun. And he's like, yeah, but then like, I'm tired after work. And I told him like, hey, like, just think about these questions that I'm going to ask you right now. Like, what would you regret more? Either trying right now, like while you're tired after work and just giving it your all and then like failing, or not having tried at all. And then, you know, at the end of the road, looking back and it's like, oh man, I should have, right? I should have tried. And
no regrets.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the reason why we ask this question, because it gives great context for people that might be right there at the edge of, should I try it or should I just watch from the sidelines? And there's nothing better than playing the game inside of the field.
Amen. I'd much rather be on the field than in the stands. And my thing is, when you ask that question to yourself, what's the best that can happen? Yep. What's the best that can happen when you take action and you get in the game? Quit being a spectator in life and get in the game and play the game. And I forget who I was listening to the other day, but a baseball analogy, Reggie Jackson struck out more than any other man in Major League Baseball history, and nobody ever talks about the strikeouts. They talk about the home runs, the World Series back in the day, where he had 3 home runs, and he's in the Hall of Fame, and he struck out more than anybody, which means he failed more than anybody else.
Incredible. Yeah.
It is incredible.
That's
that's why we use sports analogies all the time, right? It works. It's life.
It's life, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. This was just so fun, so awesome. Now, the most important question of all, we lied. Where can people find you?
So I'm the only trainer Dane on Facebook and Instagram. So hit me up, send me a DM. I'd love to connect, because at the end of the day, I want each of us to live with purpose, passion, grow stronger, and age with awesomeness. Whether you're 25 or 95, let's go out and live the life of our dreams.
Let's go! Bam!
Do it!
I'm guessing you say whether you are 25 or 90, because, you know, me saying 25,
I know, I did it for you.
And this guy 90, right? Is that it?
Clearly.
Hey, I was 25 once too, but I had hair then. So anyway.
Hey, that hat looks incredible, man. So, yeah, as soon as we release the BIZBROS, you know, swag store, we'll send you some.
Oh yeah.
I need a scarf, right? I need a bandana.
The bandana, yeah, the bandana.
You gotta send us the picture with hair for the thumbnail.
Oh my gosh, I'd have to look. I'd probably be a Polaroid. That's how old I am.
It'll be like us two and like the screenshot of the Polaroid. Like, Dan, anything else you want to add before we head out?
No, I really want to challenge people to find the positivity in their life and turn it to possibility, and ultimately live the life you have right now while you create the life of your dreams. Don't forget to live in the present. Remember the past with an eye on the future. And that, my friend, will be a much better and brighter day.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that message. Thank you for the conversation. It was absolutely amazing. You lit up the room with your energy once again. And I'm sure that whoever is listening, they are revitalized right now, and they are ready to step in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you're listening right now, if you're watching right now, thank you so much for coming all the way here. Connect with Dan, connect with us. Let us know if you have anything. We both have communities on online. Just scroll down a little bit and click the links right there. They're going to be all right there for you, whether, you want to connect with him and with us. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning to the Contents Profit Podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at BIZBROS Co.
That is right. And if today's guest helped you move one step forward towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode with 3 friends. And don't forget to leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.